Well, the old dollar doesn't go very far these days, but you might be just starting out and you want to start collecting music gear and, start putting a studio together. Just showing a few things around my place, preamps, compressors. You got to build this stuff over time. I've been collecting this stuff for 25 years. But you got to start somewhere. So I was a challenge was put forward to me. What would you do if you had to start over and you only had $500 Canadian to start with? And at first I got thinking, I was like, yeah, I could do it. I could start my studio over, bare bones, with just $500. And then I started looking up prices, and you add 15% sales tax in Canada anyway. And you realize that $500 will get you there, but not, it's close, it's tight. So in my $500 budget studio challenge, I'll just go ahead and tell you that I failed. Let me just show you what that means. We'll just come on over to here and we'll see what we've picked out. So it's the $500 budget studio challenge. I'm just going to tell you, I failed. $628 Canadian. I can't bring it down any more than that. I can't. Maybe you guys can. Of course, if you're just getting into this, I almost said a young person, but older folks too, whoever's just starting their budget studio, you could wait until Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Boxing Day, Christmas sales, and whatever other sales come along. Amazon has sales, Long and McQuaid has sales, Sweetwater has sales, all these music stores have sales. I find everything in the music world eventually comes on sale. It doesn't matter if it's some obscure preamp, a compressor, an equalizer, a microphone stand, a guitar, a drum set. Eventually, everything comes on sale. Every music store has sales. Even in software, all the software, the plugins come on sale. Everything comes on sale if you wait. But let's just say we don't wait and we want to do the $500 studio. Well, permit me one miracle here. Not a miracle, but permit me one liberty, okay? A laptop or computer, I'm going to assume you already have one. So that puts zero cost on that line. Please permit me to think that you already have a laptop or a computer so that I can put zero on that line. If you don't, well, then, we're another 300 to 1,000 to 1,500 more in cost to get this going. And, unless you buy an Apple, in which you're a lot more, maybe 2,200, maybe 2,500. But in the $500 studio budget challenge, permit me to assume that you have a laptop or computer already, and we'll put a zero next to that, okay? So, our biggest expense here is our interface. A Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 4th gen USB-C audio interface comes out to $337, taxes included. This is no shipping, so this means you went to the store to buy it. Why do I think that one for you, for your budget studio? Well, I think it's future-proof for the next 10 to 15 years. You can see the price here is that $299. And on my spreadsheet, I've already got the taxes in on it. It works for Mac, Windows, probably Linux. I've never tried it. Android, which I have tried. It works great. And iPhone, as far as I know. They sound great. They're easy to use. They do have the phantom power. They got the instrument button for putting bass or guitar direct in. They have the auto calibration, which I actually find doesn't work too hot. I should make a whole video about that, demonstrating that auto button not really working. And then safe is a limiter, and the air button is an equalizer. I think in our $500 budget challenge, even though I go over budget, I think get this. I don't think to get the 3rd gen. Like I could swing within the $500 if we get a 3rd gen, but I think spring for the 4th gen, you know? Let the 3rd gens go by the wayside. Get the 4th gen. But like I said, if you went and got a 3rd gen, you'd be in with the $500. But let's bust the budget a little bit and get the 4th gen. The next thing I think you need is a Shure SM57 mic. And you can see they are $139 Canadian over at Long & McQuaid. This is going to do your vocals. It's going to do your guitar, your bass. If you got some kind of percussion, you're going to, beat on a box or beat on a cajon or a washboard or whatever you're going to do for your percussion in your budget studio. The SM57 is a universal mic that you can do it all with. Like I said, sing into it, guitar, snare. You'll never sell this mic. This is the mic. This is your mic until, this is your mic forever. You'll never not need this mic in your studio. So then the next thing, oops, that's another spreadsheet there. The next thing is Reaper. And you say, because you're going to need a DAW, right? You need DAW software. You're going to say, Reaper's free. No, Reaper's not free, and I wish people would quit saying that it is. Reaper is not free. What it is the good guys at, is it Kakowis? I don't know. I never knew how to say the name of this company. They're good enough to let you try Reaper for free. It is not, I just said that wrong. They're good enough to let you try Reaper for free for a long time. There it is there. Kakowis Incorporated. It is not free. It is intended that they're just letting you try it for a long time without paying them. You should be buying this license here. And that's $60 US, which will convert in a minute. If you're a commercial studio, you should be buying this here. These are good guys that put a lot of work into this, and they deserve to get paid. And it's the cheapest DAW going even when you do pay them. So you're like, I don't want to pay them. You don't want to pay them the cheapest? Like, there are reverb plugins that cost more than that, There are synthesizer plugins that cost more than that. This is an entire DAW for $60 US. So, sure, I could strike the Reaper. I put $93 Canadian because that's the conversion from the 60 plus the tax. I'm not sure how the tax, because it's an online thing. I would just assume that Communist Canada is gonna do their worst once that transaction happens. It just seems nowadays that like all that Canadian tax gets hit, even if you buy something obscure from video games from wherever, Malaysia. Somehow Canada gets their that 15% that they need so that they can research transgender farming in Ethiopia, right? How it's been discovered that Canada's been shoveling money to the rest of the world. Well, that's that tax money that we need to pay, off the backs of our labor. But anyway, that's a different video. So I've got Reaper down as $93 Canadian. I could turn that to a 0 and 2 and go, just use Reaper for free. Well, then that puts me under, right? So I can achieve the 500, but I don't think we should. In my $500 studio challenge, I think we should bust the banks of the budget a little bit and get proper things and pay for Reaper properly with that $60 license. You'll even feel better, and when you load Reaper, which you'll end up loading Reaper 1,000 times as you do your recording projects in your project studio, there won't be a nag screen anymore, and you'll just feel better about having, trust me, there is a intangible goodwill of a feeling having paid for licensed software. You will feel like you own it. You will feel like you're part of something, as opposed to having that nag screen come up. Anyway, then what do we need? I grabbed a Pile mic stand on Amazon, and I was able to get that to come out to, $41. So let's go take a look at what that looks like. You need a mic stand. Is this a good one? No. Especially, this is a straight boom. Like, this isn't really good for doing amps, really, because you need the, unless that's an add-on arm. I don't really understand this broomsticky piece here. What do they intend with that? Oh, yeah, there is an adjustable mount arm, so it says. No, this is a straight. So this isn't even the best. This isn't even the best. Can I find another one? Here we go, $32. That's a little better. Tripod mic stand, something like that. Just something cheap to get us going, right? But you're going to need a mic stand. So that's why my $500 studio challenge brings us to $628 Canadian. Yeah, you can cheat. You can find a used Scarlett 2i2 4th gen. Or go back to the 3rd gen if you have to. You're going to shave $100 off there, and then you're within the $500. Wait for the Shure SM57 to be on sale for $99 Canadian. They do. They come on sale. So that $139 Long & McQuaid is sometimes $99. I've seen it. I've seen it recently, okay? The Reaper. I don't know for sure that Reaper has sales, but just buy your Reaper license and get it over with. And then the Pile mic stand. Maybe you find one on Kijiji. I don't know. It's kind of hard to beat $41, right? I mean, if we're struggling to pay $41 for a mic stand, then maybe the Project Studio idea is not going to, you know what I mean? We got to spend a little money here. But you can see how on, you know, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Boxing Day, President's Day, all the days, all the sales that these places have. Some, you know, like Long & McQuaid and Sweetwater, they'll have like recording month, or they'll have like back to school recording sale, or, you know, it's hot this summer sale. You know, all the different sales these guys have. Wait for your sales and get down to the 500. But otherwise, yeah, I've busted the budget. But I think it's worth buying proper. There's cheaper, crappier interfaces, but I don't think you should buy one. I think you should start with something strong like the Scarlett. I think you should start with something strong like the SM57 mic. I think you should start with, you know, whatever mic stand you're going to need. Lots of mic stands. Look at all the stands I got around here, right? Look at all these mic stands you'll end up with. You'll end up with, if you keep growing your studio like I did, you'll end up with 8 mic stands, or 12 or 16 or 20. It just depends on how far you take it, right? But for every mic and for every input that you're eventually going to record with, you're going to need a mic stand. So anyway, that is my 2 cents on if I were to start out today. I guess I would need about $628 Canadian to start myself out. And I probably would try to wait for them sales to get the SM57 for $99 and the Scarlett for, who knows, 15% off or whatever. But I would hold out for the 4th gen, like I said. If you like home recording, DIY, punk, prog, psych, pop, all the indie rock kind of stuff, home recording and guitars and synthesizers, drums, bass, etc., please consider liking and subscribing Quest for Gear. Thank you for watching.